Hari Om. We are handed by we are in Sankhya Yoga. Again and again, it is needs to be emphasized that Sankhya Jnana Yoga is the culmination of philosophical fermentation in Hindu philosophy. And each shloka of this adhyaya takes us to the enormous depths of philosophy. And 17th and 18th mantra that we are studying now fundamentally answers the questions that solve the riddle of life. What is the riddle of life? What is the largest, mightiest question that we are facing? First part of that question is who I am. Second part of that question is why am I here? And then if I understand who I am and why am I here, then the last part of the question, what should I be doing? From where I came, why I came, and what do I do? If these three are sorted out, almost everything is sorted out. And that is, these three fundamental questions are taken head on in these two mantras. Who you are, why you are here, and what you should be doing. The first question answered in 17th mantra is who you are. Avinashi tu tad vidhi. Know that you are indestructible. And not only that you are indestructible, yena sarvam idam tat. Sarvam idam tat. You are not only Avinashi. Whatever is there in this world is you. This shatters the very notion of our existence. So far, since my birth, I have worked on only one fundamental concept, that I am different than the world. I am in the world. I am working in the world to make myself recognizable to the world with the aim and ambition of controlling and conquering the world. This is how we have gone forward. Whether it is an upwardly mobile attitude in the career that we are taking, or whether it is a king trying to have as much land as possible, whether a wealthy businessman wanting to have as much money as possible, all of them, a Nobel laureate scientist trying to achieve the world fame, the person of Warren Buffett's stature trying to have as much money as possible by duplicating, triplicating, and quintuplating itself, the money. The purpose is, I am somebody in this world trying to conquer the world, and precisely antithesis of that is what Bhagavad Gita is telling us. Avinashi tu tad vidhi yena sarvam tatam. Yena sarvam idam tatam. Whatever you can call as idam. Idam means other than you. Idam na mama, idam na mama. That means that is not mine. It is me. Idam na mama. We say in puja, every worship we have this word idam na mama. Idam na mama, this is not mine. Why? Because this is me. What is me cannot be mine. To say anything that this is mine, I have to be separate from that thing. If I say the pain is mine, idam lekhani, idam lekhani, this pain is separate from me, so this is mine. And then I can say idam na mama or idam mama. But when lekhani is me, that is where the first fundamental onslaught by Hindu philosophy of Advaita comes to the fore. avinashi. The notion of destructibility is gone. And the entire prapancha of whatever we do is based on only destruction. What if I lose? What if I lose my child? What if I lose my money? What if I lose my this, my that? And then what if I lose me? Mahabhaya, Mrityu is called Mahabhaya, Abhinivesha, one of the Panchakleshas, Abhinivesha. Nobody wants to lose himself. And Bhagavad Gita is telling there is no way you can lose yourself, even if you wish to. What a terrific irony. I am constantly scared that I may lose myself. And this scripture is telling me that you cannot, not only you, na kaschit, kimaschit, kaschit prathama, no one. And as if this no one is not a guarantee for us, Shankaracharya comes with the word that Ishvaro api, वो जो तुम्हारा भगवान है वो भी नहीं कर सकता तुमको डिस्ट्रॉय. Sarvashaktiman Parameshwar, we call it. Sarvashaktiman. Even then, one Shakti is not there with him. He has Ichha Shakti, Prana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Jnana Shakti, everything. But Atman cannot be destroyed. And why? Indestructibility is the very essence of Atma Tattvam. Understand that you are, thou art that. That indestructible Purusha and this destructible Maya or the creation, Prakriti, the day you understand it, you have reached Kaivalyam. This is Sankhya Tattva. Ability to discern and see Purusha separate from the Prakriti, the day it happens, Kaivalyam is achieved, job is done. Kasmin bhavo vijnate sarvam vidam vijnato bhavati. By knowing what, nothing is left as unknown. Avinashi tu tad vidhi yena sarvam idam tatam. This tat word and tatam gets confused a lot. Tat, that, tat tom asi. That tat is different. That is tat. This is tatam. Tatam, the word tatam has come from tan dhatu. Tan, tanyate, tan, tanu. This sharir is called tanu. Why? It keeps on expanding. Baby is small, then infant grows, then grows. It keeps on growing, so it is called tanu. Anything that expands, pervades, is called tanu. Tanoti. There is a verb called tanoti. Chakara chanda tandavam. Tanoti na shiva shivam. Hey Shiva, the tandava that you are doing, tanoti na. Give that tandava to me. Expand me also through that tandava. Tanoti. Sarvam idam tatam. Two things. I am indestructible and I pervade everything. Na rahega bas, na rahegi basuri. When I am the Atman, I am the indestructible and I am pervading everything, the entire show is over. Just to elaborate further, Vinasham avyavasyasya asya avyayasya. Asya avyasya and Vinasham both are not possible. Imperishability and destruction both are not possible. Na kaschit kartum arhati. Arha is to worship. In Jain philosophy, in religion and others, there are arhats. Arhat means somebody who has reached a particular stage, who is worthy of worshipping. One who should and can worship is called arhat. And the logical meaning of that as per Nirukta, is able. Because you will be able to do the worship only when you are able to do worship. Ability, arahata. Na kaschit kartum arhati. Nobody has the ability of what? Vinasham and avyasa. Avyaya. Vyaya is what? Vyaya is to go away. Aya is to come. In accountancy, aya, vyaya is there. Credit, debit. Vyaya is debit. To go away. Avyayasya. Cannot go away. Nobody is able to take it away or destroy it or make it perishable. And vinasham, destruction. Coming to these destructions and vinasham, Gurudeva has given his own, and here to the T, Gurudeva in both the mantras have literally mirrored. You feel that Gurudeva and Shankaracharya have become one in the commentary of these two. You see Shankar Bhashyam, you see Gurudeva's Bhashyam, one and the same, and it's not one and the same, a copy. Two people having the same experience, Satyam Avadat. Both are talking the same truth. It is like a long lost friend meeting each other and saying that, yes, you and me were there and we enjoyed it. And then the kind of enjoyment they do, and then they sing in the same melody. We see the same melody here. Gurudeva singing in the melody of synchronizing the melody with Shankaracharya. And then here it's Gurudev says, the real is that which envelops everything that exists, which is the very stuff and substance of all the worlds of perception which we call experience. Very critical statement. Who are we? We are nothing but the bundle of experiences. Everything we encounter, we get an experience. Every experience gives us a thought. So we are nothing else but bundle of thoughts or experience or memory, whichever way you call it. From Yoga Shastra point of view, sum total of all the vrittis that you have is you. Yoga Shastra doesn't require your name, address, nothing. It requires only one thing. Sir, tell me what are the vrittis you have. I have these vritti. Okay, that is your sum total is you. I know who you are. Then what happens when the vrittis are not there, when the experience is not there? The person will not exist. And the person, when he is not existing, how the world can exist? So Gurudev says, all the world of perceptions. Now this perception is a very critical thing, and that is the fundamental aspect on which Western philosophy is also standing. Perception, what I perceive, what is it? If I perceive whatever I perceive, if I think that whatever I perceive is the perception, then I become the perceiver. Whatever I perceive, then I become the perceiver. So perceive as a perceiver is an individualistic phenomena. I am the perceiver. This is the pain. I am Dr. Jadhav perceiving the pain. The pain is being perceived by me. This is the first type of perception. Second is, pain is existing. It is right in front of me. My eyes can see it, but I cannot perceive it. So one is perceiving as individual perceiver. So perceiving as perceiver. Second, not perceiving because I am not a perceiver. Absence of perception. What does that mean? Non-application of consciousness to this. If my consciousness is not applied to this, this may be in front of me, my eyes may see it, but I will not record it. Absence of perception. And the third perception is perceive it as non-perceiver. going with a little criticality of perception, because we are actually trying to study adhyasa. Perceiving as perceiver, not perceiving at all, and perceiving not as a perceiver. These are the three ways of perceiving the world. There is no fourth way. When I perceive it as a perceiver, I have wrongly applied the consciousness, and that is why, being a perceiver, I suffer from what I have perceived. Being a perceiver, I suffer because of whatever I have perceived, depending upon my reaction to the object and the perception. So I am the pramata, perceiver. This object is the prameya, pramata. How do I perceive it? Through my prama. Through my prama, pramata, through the prama, perceives the prameya. Basic fundamental is perceive as a perceiver. Do not perceive even if it exists. And third, perceive as non-perceiver. These three aspects. First is incorrect application of consciousness. Second is not application of consciousness. And third is correct application of consciousness. We are in the first stage. We are in this world and applying the consciousness in a wrong manner. That is why all the side effects of our existence, the fear, the anger, the fear of death, the fear of destruction, all that is wrong perception. The yogi in his samadhi avastha, no perception, no application of consciousness. Result, no side effect. And in the third stage, a Jivan Mukta, Gurudev. Now back into the world, perceiving everything, yet not as a perceiver, but as me. No pramata, no prameya, pramata, prameya, ekatvat. Then what happens? If I see myself here and there, then what happens? Yena sarvam idam tatam. Pervaded. Tanu. Now how big is the tanu of a Jivan Mukta? Not 5 feet 6 inches. Virat. Whatever is produced as an universe, I am that. In fact, I am even beyond that. From my Dashangula, the tip of my finger is this world. So I become Virat and then transcend the Virat also. This is where Tukaram Maharaj says, Anu Renuya Thokada Tuka Akasha Evada. Tukaram Maharaj says, I have become as big as a sky. How can you become as big as a sky? Because everything under the sky, including the sky, is me. This is the meaning of the Yena Sarvam Idam Tatam. Now, within me, there will be destructions going on. As a body, I am right now sitting here, some of my RBCs are dying. They live for 120 days. So some of them are dying, some of them are coming up within me, in my Shariram. Similarly, in my Virata Shariram, some viruses are coming, some people are dying, some people are coming. Bhagavan is anyway going to come to that while explaining to Arjuna. Arjuna, you become an RBC, you feel, oh my God, in 120 days I will die. You become a man and then you say that, what to talk of RBCs? You become a Virat and then you say, what to talk of a man? In fact, destruction itself is seen as a God's divine act. No other religion gives that. Hindu religion gives that. What is Kali? What does Shiva do? Chita bhasma lapeti. Bhuta pishacha batori. Smashane mein khele digambaro holi. He keeps on playing the holy. Why destruction? Why? It is a part of the huge universe in which there has to be some destruction, some creation. It is only when I focus on the creation part and I want maintenance part, Vishnu part only with me, then the fear comes. Neither Brahma is remembered, nor Shiva is remembered. I want to be always there forever, conquering, earning, becoming big. No, sir. The whole thing itself is you. The destruction is you. The creation is you. The maintenance is you. You are the Brahma, Vishnu, and the Shiva, all together Trinity. That is the cosmic dance. The Chola image of Shiva, which is so famous, a huge book written on the image of bronze, image of Chola during the Chola period. That is such a philosophical impression. The image is made from the deepest philosophy. That philosophy is this: avinashitu tadvidhi yena sarvam idam tatam na kaschit kartum arhati na vinasham na asya avyayasya. Not possible at all, sir. And why not possible? Advaita doesn't stop there, it goes beyond that. This world of perception, Advaita says, it is not a parinama, it is a vivarta. What is vivarta? There is no world. It's a very, very, very mind-shattering statement. All along I am staying here. Just now I'm concluding one session, talking something to somebody, and you come and tell me, neither the speaker is existing, nor the listener is existing. I can feel it. This is my cheek. I can feel the mobile. How can you say it is not there? That is the beauty of the philosophical explanation in Advaita. When Gurudev gave this example of mud and the pots in different forms, the upadana karana, the material cause of everything is mud. And then different shapes are formed. This mud, this shape, the mud of this is nothing else, the consciousness. Oh, does that mean the mud became the pot? Sir, sorry. Mud did not become the pot. Mud is appearing as a pot. If mud becomes the pot, then what happens? The pot may not become mud again. Because conversion, transformation hasn't taken place. When there is no transformation, but a change is perceived, perception, it is called vivarta. Adhisthana viparita svabhavavan anyata rupa iti avivartaha. And upadana samana svabhavat anyatha rupa iti parinamaha. Meaning what? Upadana samana svabhava. The mud and the pot, do they have same svabhava? No, one has shape, one doesn't have a shape. Roop had changed. Svabhava is same, mitti is same. That is called parinam. The milk becoming the curd. Roop is different. Basic substance is casein, called protein, called casein. It's present in both. Upadana samana svabhavat anyatha rupa. Vivarta adhisthana viparita svabhavavan. Adhisthana viparita svabhava means there was a rope. I called it a snake. Adhisthana viparita svabhavavan. Rope has a different adhisthana, snake has a different adhisthana, but they came together. So appeared as anyatha rupa. If this is the case, then what I am feeling, what I am doing is all done by the consciousness, appears to be done by me. Everything that is being done is possible because of the consciousness, but adhisthana is consciousness, the substratum is consciousness, Since I focus more on Viparita Swabhava, I feel that I am doing it. That is precisely what the dilemma the Arjuna had. I am killing, he will be killed, and then that happens, then I will be blamed. The blame will come to me because of my death of him, because of me killing him. All this creation was nothing else but calling what is called Mrugatushnim. Mrugatushnim, Mrugajala. If a man comes and says that there is a mirage, if I drink that water, and in case that water is impure, I will suffer because of the stomach ache. The question is right. Basic premise that there is a Mrigajala, it itself is false. A person suffering from psychiatric hallucination, he tells us that somebody speaks in my ear and tells me that I should do a murder. I'm talking of a disease called schizophrenia. We all say that, sir, there is nobody is talking to you. He says, you can't understand. Can you not hear? Now there, all are not schizophrenic, one is. So we are able to, now imagine the whole world is under hallucination. You, me, everybody is under hallucination. And because of hallucination, all hallucinated persons are saying that my job, my career, am I this, my that. Everybody is saying, so you are not able to find out. Only few who have gone out of hallucinations like Guru Deva, they look at them and say that, oh my God, he is suffering from Bhava Roga called hallucination. And he is telling this world is true, experience is true, upward mobility, money, plot, retirement, children, money. This is precisely what it is saying. That you are not the hallucination. You are considering yourself as hallucination. You are away from other than hallucinations. Hallucination is Maya. Hallucination is Prakriti. You are not part of that. And that is why Gurudeva has called this as world of finite changes. World of finite changes is entirely permitted through and enveloped by the real, the changeless. And there is no possibility even for the Ishvara to destroy this particular thing. There ends the 17th mantra, which clearly tells me who I am, who you are. Avinashim tat vidhi. Know that you are indestructible. So your identity is completely told to you right in the beginning, no secrets anywhere. And when I am told I am the indestructible, what does it mean? I am not that which is destructible. That means what? Everything around me, my name, my fame, my yashakirti, satta, sampatti, pratishta, pita, bata, bhratru, bhagini, pitamaha, matamaha, matula, shalam, nobody. Kulam, nobody. Jnanam, Veda Dhyanam, Jnanam, Chatur, Jnana Kanda Pravinata, all is not me. It is destructible. The world, destructible, sir. The galaxies, destructible, sir. The creation, destructible, sir. Avyakta creation, destructible, sir. I am that. Created universe, uncreated universe. In other words, I am even beyond the possibility of creation. Mula Maya, the very some factor from which everything is produced, I am even beyond that. If this is the case, then who am I is told to me. Then very meekly I ask a question. And the question is, sir, what about this body that is given to me? I was thinking so far that it's going to last for a very long time. That is why all these arrangements I am making. Very recently, I opened an NRI deposit also. So the question comes, Ime dehaha kim bhavishyam? What is the future of this? That is why Bhagavad Gita comes and says that, I told you, you are indestructible. Now you may be having a question, if I am indestructible, then what am I doing in this? Why am I stuck here? And then Gita Mata says, you're not stuck here. He is stuck here. He has become Sharirinam. He is a Sharirika. Acharya Shankaracharya's Sureshwar Acharya has written a grantha called Sankshepa Sharirika. Sharirika means Atman. The same Atman got in this body, kafas. In Sufi calls this as a kafas. Kafas means what? Cage. The bird is in the cage. That is how a Sufi explains. Atma Tattvam. Dva Suparna Sayuja Sakhaya. That also same. That bird which has come the consciousness and got entrapped in this upadhi. This is called upadhi. Upadhi means wherever consciousness has penetrated, this is also an upadhi. What is different between this and me? There's no difference. Only thing is what? Consciousness is able to express better and freer in me, not so much. Otherwise, this and this is same. This is also Panchamahabhuta, this is also Panchamahabhuta. Aham na bhuta sangaha. That I say every day morning in the prayer, but I don't realize it. There is no virtual difference between this and this and this. All same. Consciousness peeping through them expresses in a different way. That is the only difference. So that means who has become Sharirinaha? Nityasya anashinaha aprameyasya sharirinaha. That which is nitya, anashin, and aprameya. He has indwelling in this body. थारा रंग महल में अजब शहर में आजा रे हंसा भाई निर्गुण राजा ने सिरगुण सेज सजाई. Kabir Maharaj says this bed of roses was enlivened by Nirguna Raja. Atma Tattvam came and dwelt in my body in this upadhi. So I am upadhikruta, expression of the consciousness, embodied self. Bodied self? No bodied self. Self has no body. Embodied. Pravishyanti. He entered in my body. He entered into every creation that was done. And if that is the case, then what about the Shariri in which he is dwelling? No. The house will be destroyed. The householder will go away. Why? He is always there. The householder will always remain. The house will go away. Antavanta ime deha. Ime dehaha. Antavantaha uktaha. It is said that this body means not only this body. Body means anything that is embodied. What is anything embodied? Panchamahabhutika. In other words, anything made up of Panchamahabhuta will not last. Anashinaha aprameyasya. Now, once you know that you are the indestructible and this is nothing else but your embodied self, then how can you ask a question to me that, sir, what if I get destroyed? That means your fundamental understanding of who you are is wrong. Bhagavan to Arjuna is trying to tell who you are. Understand that first. Then tasmat. This tasmat word is also very important. Tasmat yuddhasva. That is why means why. Otherwise you can't fight. Sir, if you don't have understanding about the Advaita philosophy, you cannot lead life. As simple as that. Why? You don't have the basic understanding. That means every act I do as an embodied self should have substratum of understanding of Advaita Tattva Jnanam. And what is Advaita Tattva Jnanam? In short, that was told into this 17th Adhyaya, Avinashatu Tadvidhi, Yena Sarvam Idam Tatam. If you could constantly remember that, most important, then only, and that only, not only remember by Pathantaram, Sahajavastha. Once you do that, Tasmat Yuddhasva Bharata. Why? After that, you will never make any mistake. Why? Premises are right, action cannot go wrong. Premises are wrong, action, howsoever brilliant, beautiful you may say, no. Na karmena, jnanena eva. Social chitta shuddhi, fine. You will get chitta shuddhi. No, I have not disturbed anybody. I have tried to help everybody. Even I have gone hungry for one time food, but I have seen that everybody around me is fed. Fine, sir. That will give you only parinami chitta shuddhi, na tu jnanam. Why? Premises jnanam. Premises jnanam. And that jnanam, once you have, once you know who you are, then comes the question, who am I is answered. Now the question is, why am I here? Why am I here? Why the soul has become embodied? Because the body wanted the embodied self. Why did the body wanted it? Because the body did something whereby this consciousness has to take this shape. What did the body do? It did something called a desire. But sir, what is the wrong in desiring something? No, there is nothing wrong in desiring something, but moment you have desire, there is a phalam. Because desire leads to karma, avidya, karma, phalam. So it comes as a package. No, I will have only desire. No, sir. Desire itself means that prompts you to do something, karma. Because you had desire, there was a need to do karma. And because you had to do the karma, I have to give you a body. And because you did karma, I have to give you the phalam of the karma. Because there is a, Bhagavan says to us, bhai, mere yahan pe ek rule hai. Anybody who sows the seed, I have to give him the harvest. Why? Because one of my protege called Lord Ganesha does that function. He's always sitting there, Mula Dhara Stitosi Nityam. Kya kiya? A. Phalam B. Even if you say, Ganesha, please, I will do Atharvashirsha 100 times. Please do not give me phalam. You will say, sorry, sir, you have already done the karma. Phalam will come. I cannot help it. No, I will go to your father. He also cannot do anything. I will go to his father. He cannot do anything. No Shiva, no Vishnu, nothing. Karma phalam. But I did all the good karmas, Ganapati. All the good phalas will come to you. How do I get away from all these phalams? Don't do karma. How do I do that? Don't desire. Vasana mukti. And if I have not done that so far, then do one thing. Start working on vasana mukti, and whatever vasanas are already done, work according to that. But while working, remember that you are avinashi tadvidhi. अब तो पूरा महाभारत ही सिंपल हो गया. सामने कौन बैठा है? तुम ही बैठे हो. Whom are you killing? Whom are you killing? Yourself. Who is killing? Yourself. What is this yuddha? Yourself. But that is absurd, sir. How can I kill myself as well as kill myself as well as call this as myself? Or that is what I am saying. Tatam. And once you understand that, rest is paraphernalia. The war is paraphernalia. On the basis of that pristine understanding. And that is why Antavanta ime deha nityasya ukta sharirinaha. Because you are an embodied self. So now Bhagavan is saying, Arjuna, I answered 2 of your questions. And not much thing. Just 3 lines. Why 3 lines? That's my power. That's my Shabda Pramanam. That's Veda. That's Shruti. 1 word. Ek nukte vich gal mukti hai. Bulle Shah says, on 1 dot, Anuswara is enough to give the knowledge. Pad nukta chad kitabanu. Leave the books, just focus on that point. Similarly, in Veda, in Bhagavad Gita, every adhyaya, all adhyayas, every mantra, every shloka, every word of every shloka, every upasarga of every shabda is enough to start the mananam part of it. And that is why he is giving answer. He did not start from anything. Arjuna, somehow we have to do it. What to do? We have come in this life. We have to kill. Sometimes the time comes. That is our philosophy. क्या करे दुनिया, वायरस आता रहता है वगैरह. This is a crying philosophy. That's not a Hindu philosophy. Hindu philosophy is from the premise of courage, and the courage is coming from the premise of the one who is ever courageful, Avinashi. Indestructibly hai courage. That is the epitome of courage. Abhihi. The sar of Upanishad is no fear. Nirbhaya nirguna gunare gaunga. Kabir Maharaj says, मैं निर्भयता गाता हूँ. I sing fearlessness. Fearlessness because Avinashi Tadvidhi Antavanta ime deha. Now that you know that it is Antavanta, Nityasya Ukta Sharina Anashino Aprameyasya. Gurudeva has given the word why Nitya and Anashin two are not the Punarukti. He is referred to Shankaracharya also. Shankaracharya says, Na Punaruktaha Nityatyasva Dvividhatva. There is of two types, and those two types with that fat man going small and the death, both beautifully described by Gurudeva. By qualifying the eternal as unknowable, it is not in any sense intended to indicate the supreme is unknown. Gurudeva gives a caution that he is unknowable doesn't mean he is unknown. Unknowable, unknown, different. Moment you say he is unknowable and unknown, you become a Buddhist. Shunyavad is unknowable and unknown. Shunyavad. Advaita says no. There is no void there. There is sunny fields of intense heat of meditation leading to the sunny fields of anubhuti, intuition. So here it is talked in terms of not shunyavad. Why? Then Gurudev talks about aprameyatva. Prama, pra and ma. Ma is to measure. Pra means prakarshena. That which can be precisely measured is called pramana. The method, the instrument used for precisely measuring something is pramana. Can you do that for the Atmatattvam? And the reason is very simple. You want to see the bacteria, you don't have the microscope. You only have the eyes. Now with the eyes, sir, you cannot see the bacteria. Why? Instrument of perception is inadequate. And that is where Gurudeva says, he is a Swatah Siddha. It is unknowable because it is Swatah Siddha. There is nothing else that can prove it. He proves himself. What is the proof that I exist? Because my mother says, my wife says that you are there, Dr. Jadhav? No. I have a feeling. I know I exist. When I will lie flat and 4 people will take me to some place, I will not be knowing I exist. Right now, I am Swatah Siddha in limited sense. That is why the reference has been given to the Kenoprishta. Pradeep Ji Maharaj rightly said that particular mantra. Na tratra chakshur gacchati, na vag gacchati, na manaha. Na vidmo, na vijanimo. From 1 to 6, different pramanas are there. We have studied it in detail in Patanjali's Yoga Darshana. None applies to that. Why? It is a praman ke pare hai. Swatah Siddha, Swayam Siddha cannot be subject to some kind of pramanam. That is why Yat Yatha Etat Anushishyat, that mantra says how to teach. Kenopanishada, most of the mantras are ending with this word called Yatha Etat Anushishyat. Yat Etat Anushishyat. Yat Etat Anushishyat. How do you teach? How can I teach? How can I? It is not a teachable. And the beauty of Upanishad is, by saying repeatedly, it is not teachable, it is not teachable, it teaches. And then after knowing all this, you are told who you are told why you are here. Now, after knowing these two things, Anumodana, not Vidhi. Shankaracharya says now Krishna is giving Anumodana to Arjuna, not Vidhi, no Adnya. Tasmat Yuddhasva is not Adnya. Anumodana. Why? He was anyway there because he was ready for fight. Problem was suddenly he developed a cold fit. So he gave Anumodana, Tasmat. And this is again that cryptic smile of Krishna. Sab kuch karke, he will say, if you feel like, knowing fully well that he will do what he has said, Krishna's smile nobody can decipher. And that is why Gurudeva says, pick it up the Gandiva again and act diligently in the field wherein duty has called him. How some stupid can take this Yuddha as Hinduism talking about. Entire Soviet Union did that and tried to ban Bhagavad Gita. So according to, going by Gurudeva's standard, Soviet Union is stupid. Very boldly you can say that. Why? Because anybody who interprets Bhagavad Gita this way has to be stupid. Tasmat Yuddhasva. Yuddha means what? Samprahara. Samprahara. Sammyakena praharati iti sampraharaha iti yuddhaha. Whatever life that I am leading, whatever questions I am facing, I have to face all the questions with some prahara. I have to annihilate all the issues that are coming in front of me with the clear understanding of first two questions answered by the Bhagavan. And if that happens, the Hindu has to discard his defeatist mentality. You cannot be defeatist if you are a Hindu, or else you are not a Hindu. That's why the population of Hindu people is very less. Head counting has no meaning in religious spirituality. By spiritual counting, Hindus are very few. Why? Because who are the ones who was a sadhu, a Jivan Mukta, the way he roams around in this world. We are not Hindus. Why? Because we get defeatist mentality even by a virus floating here and there, creates suddenly a collapse in the life of our life. What a life we have. Few ultra microscopic things are disturbing us from our roots. That's not Hindu, sir. That's not Hindu. Hindu cannot be one who is afraid. Why? Because if he has understood the Bhagavad Gita correctly, then he faces wholeheartedly and sincerely the situation in every given field of his life, at every given moment of his existence. What more can Gurudeva tell us? So beautifully Gurudeva has given us a message. Bhagavad Gita is the dish that is given to us for the eating. And the topping is Gurudeva's teaching. Take it together, digest it properly, assimilate. Every part of blood should become a part of this teaching, and then how beautiful the world and the life will be. What fear? What fear? More the fear we can understand where we are standing in spirituality. If you are 100% afraid, you are 100% not in spirituality. If you are 50% afraid, you are 50% in spirituality. If you are not afraid, you are fully in spirituality. So that is why, on one hand, completely fearless Bhagavan is standing. On the other hand, partly fearful, partly spiritual Arjuna is standing, and taking him through the 18 adhyayas, Bhagavan ensures that he also becomes fearless. And when two fearless are standing in front of each other, they will not be standing in front, because two fearless is always one fearless. The Arjuna becomes Krishna at the end. This is the journey. This is the spiritual journey. Hari Om.
Hari Om, any questions?
Yeah, Hari Om. Sanjay ji, at the end, Shankara says that it is not an injunction, and it is just, it is so happened that Arjuna is on the battlefield, so he is asking him to fight. But is Gurudev not going a step ahead and saying that we have to remove the defeatist tendency in us and fight in face wholeheartedly and sincerely the situation every given field of his life at every given moment in his existence. And active resistance to evil is the Krishna creed of Gita. This has been repeatedly said by Gurudev. So, is it a sort of call? I mean, not exactly a war, but everywhere, because certain places we find that even if we have to stand up and fight or stand up against it, but sometimes it turns out to be a problem. So we try to remain silent instead of. So, what is the message given by Gurudev? I mean, every situation you have to have that active resistance to evil. What is that? I mean,
Sorry. The resistance to the evil, active resistance to the evil is the important message by Gurudev. The question is, what is evil depends on who is defining the evil. For me, the problem is, how do I take care of my old age? The problem that Gurudeva faced was, how do I get Atmadjnanam? Both are having issues. So the quality of issue that one faces in his life depends upon which spiritual stage he is. Arjuna's problem is not at a normal common stage. Otherwise, everybody would have asked a question to Bhagavan. Only Arjuna asked. So Vishada happened only to Arjuna. At which stage you are having the issue is more important. The evil, and evil doesn't mean always a wickedness that we see around. The evil could be corrupt thinking of ours or not having the right thinking, mudha buddhi. And that is why resisting the evil, the obvious evils which are there outside, such as these durgunas that we have to fight them. There is no doubt about it. The question is, Bhagavan is trying to say that know the premises so that you can fight better. Avinashi Tadviddhi, once it happens, then everything becomes easier to understand and it gives more courage to fight it. That is the first part. Second, very critical part that you raised is, sometimes it is, let us take a live example. Are there many things that we can speak here in this land where we are staying, even though they are wrong? And this is precisely where the question even plagued Mahatma Gandhi. During South Africa struggle, he was contemplating, can I really go against the law? Because the law is produced by the people who are ruling. So that is their prerogative. Am I doing the right thing by saying that your law is not correct because I'm a citizen of that place, I'm a resident of that place? So by being a resident, can I defy the law? Is that the right thing simply because the law is not correct? Or I should obey the law because law being there, I have to obey it, which is right and which is wrong? This is the dilemma. See, everybody's questions are different. Ultimately, Mahatma Gandhi, after a lot of thinking, wrote a letter to his guru, Rajachandraji. It's a beautiful three letter correspondence. I have the letters worth reading. And the question asked is very simple. If a snake comes in front of you, will you be killing the snake because he may bite you and you may die? Or will you be letting the snake do whatever he does because non-violence is the creed? And snake is also me and I am snake. What do we do? What is Vyavharikata is important or Paramarthikata is important? The answer given by Rajachandra is very, very good and very precise. At the same time, it augurs well with Shankaracharya's philosophy. It depends on which satta you are. If you are in a Vyavaharika satta, then you have to take Vyavaharika satta into consideration. I'll give you an example. Once when I was driving as a doctor in the night, I had to go to attend some patient. And I was caught because in a hurry, I had not taken my license with me. The policeman came and he said that, give me some money, then only I'll let you go. Now I have a dilemma. Should I not give him the money, or should I make the patient suffer, or should I treat the patient and give the money here? The Vyavaharikata told me that better pay, which is wrong. Maybe with protest you pay, but save the life there, because we don't know what has happened to the patient. Vyavaharika Satta should have a Vyavaharika answer. But if it's a Paramarthika Satta, if a sannyasi is going, then he will say that I will not. So the snake in front of me for a sannyasi would be, he has nothing left for the body. Death is nothing for him. So he will say, Nagaraj, do whatever you want to do. But if you are not the same one, then you would have to take a precaution that the cobra will not bite you. So while resisting the evil, we have to remember what is my own spiritual level of existence and which satta I am into. Rama was asked a question that if you just because you want to follow your father, the entire Ayodhya is going to suffer. So better defy your father, at least entire Ayodhya, one versus so many. Again, was it not a question of resisting the evil or whatever? The decision taken by Rama was, he said, I am Satyavachani. Down the line for hundreds of years, thousands of years, people are going to look at me as Ekapatni Vrati and Satyavachani. Pratidnyavan. I don't, because that is far more important than Ayodhya suffering. So everywhere those, and that is why sometimes Buddhi fails. And why Buddhi fails? Because it is Santa Buddhi. People like Gurudeva, they reach at a stage where Rutambara Buddhi gives the right decision. That's why the only decision, only sentence, words coming right are only from Jivan Mukta. Rest, everybody, justifications. All are justifications. But through this, slowly, we purify ourselves, so the Buddhi starts giving us a right intuition, right signals, and then our resistance to the evil becomes more pronounced and more balanced.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, any other questions? Otherwise,
Yes, Manish ji, can I ask a question? It's not. Yeah, Hari Om, Sanjay ji. The opposite of fear, is it courage or love? In Gandhi's case, we have seen love, but in most of the cases, we have seen courage is opposite to fear. So, with this sloga and the coming sloga also, that we are indestructible, we should go for a love or a courageous action.
You know, Gandhiji has given a beautiful answer to that. You must have courage against the sin and love against the sinner. You must have courage against the sin and love against the sinner. So the one who is doing a wrong thing, a rapist trying to rape a girl, you should resist the rapist with all your force and might. That is called courage. And moment that is over, then you talk to him as if he is your brother, so that never he repeats the same thing. That is prema. And they are never separable. Courage is in the immediate incidents that happens, immediate eventuality. Shivaji Maharaj went into the war and everything was done. After the war was done, the daughter-in-law of that person who was defeated, she was so beautiful, she was brought in front of him. Immediately he said that, oh, she is like my mother. What happened? Courage, valor of Shivaji on one hand, prema of Shivaji on the other hand. Rana Pratap, when he went for the fight and the war, he fight with all his might against Mana Singh as well as Akbar both. But when it came to all his people around Gogunda, the people whom he supported, the poorest of the poor, prema. He said, you are a Rajput. You went on the wrong side to fight, but you are my brother. You are my Rajput brother. So prema and courage, they are always in hand. The timing differs. Courage at the time of inflicting that particular punishment to the sin committed. So that is why never hate the sinner, hate the sin. Hari Om.